Okay. I think I'm gonna set my drink right here. I think it'll be safer. Is it gonna be safer there? I don't know. Let's see here. Can I see how many people's on here yet? All right. Chat rate 1. I don't know what that means. Okay. So I think that's a little bit better. Okay, guys. So this is Needful Strings LLC in Branson, Missouri, and so far I've done like 2 of these lives, and that were actually pretty successful, I guess. I'm pretty proud of my my ability to communicate now. At first it was so scary. So today I am going to teach you guys how to create chords. And remember, if you guys have any questions in the comment section or anything like that, I will get to them later on. But I want to do my lesson first, so it's easier for me to focus on the lesson, obviously. Hey Susan, you're at work. How you doing? So I'm going to go ahead and pull out my whiteboard here. I've been. Hey Susan, are you one of the people that I give out my little newsletter to? Because I'm going to kind of do a little topic on how to create chords, just like I did on my newsletter. And thank you very much for showing up. I really appreciate that. You got to start somewhere, right? Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad that you're okay. So, what I guess I'll teach you, and then as other people come in, then they can just listen and learn as well. So, what I wanted to talk about today was your whole steps and your half steps. Okay, so. Of course, if you're at work and then you have to, head home pretty soon, it's okay. You can watch my video later on. But so today we're going to talk about whole steps and half steps. And in relation to the mountain dulcimer, I went ahead and put the word Ionian and I put the word Mixolydian on here as well. Believe it or not, and I think I've mentioned this in the past, the DAA pattern is technically the Ionian pattern, and the DAD pattern, I don't know if I said that right. The DAA pattern is technically the Mixolydian, and the DAD is technically the Ionian pattern. So today I'm going to kind of show you guys some kind of stuff here. Came in early. I'll be here all night. Okay, well that's cool. You're making that money. So anyways. Like I said, Mixolydian is supposed to be the 1-5-5 pattern, and the Ionian is supposed to be the 1-5-8 pattern. But we're not going to be talking about that really today. We're going to construct our chords. So what I wanted to do today was show you this alphabet line here. This is the chromatic scale. If you start on the letter C, you have C, C sharp, or D flat. You have a D, D sharp or E flat, E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, and then you have A sharp or B flat, and B and C. Or A sharp or B flat, and then B and C. Okay. Anyways, you have all of these letters, and this is the code to create your chords. So if I'm starting on this number line, I need to know, how in the world did you make a C major chord? Or how did you make an E flat diminished chord? Or how about an A augmented chord? Something like that. Well, this is how they do it. They start off with their number line, and they make these little arrows. They're jumping over different letters, or jumping to different letters. So what we have here is whole steps and half steps. So if I'm wanting to make a whole step, what you do is you jump over the next letter. So C, you jump over the C sharp, and you go to that D. That is called a whole step. I'll make a little W there. That's a whole step. If I want to do a half step, all you're doing is going to the next letter. So here is the half step right there. So in order to create your chords, you have to know that basic information. It's like ones and zeros for the computer nerds. So what we have here is the regular Ionian scale, which if you do the DAD pattern, you know or very well. You know that one very well without really even thinking about it. So you got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Well, if we are to look at this number line, we have to create some kind of a code. We're going to use whole steps and half steps to create this code. So I'm going to go ahead and sit down over here so it's easier for me since I'm left-handed. And since we know that the half step is just one next to it, and the whole step is the one where you jump over, let's create the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, so C to D, that's a whole step. D to E, that's another whole step. E to F, well, that's a half step. Then we have F to G, that's a whole step. G to A, that's a whole step. A to B, well, that right there's a whole step. And then B to C, that's a half step. And you can see that, right? You can see that this is a whole step from C to D, and then this is a half step from E to F, for example. Well, we need this string of code to be able to create our chords now, okay? We need that string of code to be able to do our chords. And I have on the other side of my board some combinations. And so we have this whole, half, whole, half on the other side. So here is C to D. So we have right here, whole, D to E, whole, E to F, half, F to G, whole, G to A, whole, and A to B, whole, and then B to C, half. So we have all of that in there currently. So what we're going to do is create chords based off of what this information is up here. So if you looked at my little stuff the other day on my newsletter, I basically have this exact same thing written out. Okay? And we have to create a chord based off of these whole steps and the half steps. So I have up here 4 different names. I have their code, and then I also have another code up here as well to help you out. So you're familiar with the major chord and you're familiar with the minor chord, most likely. That's most likely what's going on here. So I have written up here already the combination to create the major chord. And so down here, knowing our whole steps and our half steps, let's go ahead and create what that would look like. So if we're going to start with this C here, we need to go a whole step and another whole step. So C to D, D to E. Okay. Now we need to do another whole step and a half step. So from that E, we do a whole step. So E plus F is a half step. F plus F sharp is a whole step. So we go to that whole step, and then we have to do a half step. So here is that G right there. So look what we just created. C, E, G. Well, that is a C major chord. So if we go up here, 1, 3, 5. So 1 is a C. Here, let's see, where should I put it? C. And E is the third one. And then G is the fifth one there. You see that up there? I think you can read that up there. Anyways, we have a couple ways to go about this now. Since we just figured out this, the C, E, and G, I could just replace all the 1, 3s, and the 5s with those letter combinations, the C, the E, and the G. So, of course, let's go ahead and do that, and I'll show you everything that works out down here. So we'll just say C, E, and G, C, E, G here, and then we'll do C, E, G here, C, E, and then G. I think you can read that. It looks like you can on my screen at least. So we just took care of the C major scale, or the chord. Let's go ahead and do the minor. Well, look at this. We have a different combination. It looks like we're using the same things, right? But they're in a different order now. Well, because we're technically not adding the two things together, we are arranging them in specific order. So, this time we are looking at the C minor. And we can keep these two purple dots down here, that C and that G, because we're going to be using them. Because that's our perimeter. Now, it says on here for the minor, it says whole step plus a half step. So if we are at the C, we need to do a whole step. Well, a C to a C sharp is a half step, so C to D is that whole step. There's that whole step. Now we need another half step, so D to D sharp. Okay? But it's not going to be called a D sharp. Look at this. We have an E, so we have to stay in context. So that's called an E flat. So we have a C and an E flat. Well, we just took care of this first part here. Now we need to do another whole step and another whole step. So we're starting at that E flat. We need to do a whole step. So we have E flat to E, that's a half step. And then E to F, that's another half step. So you got a whole step. Now we need one more whole step. So F to F sharp is a half step. F sharp to G, well, that makes that a whole step. There we go. So in this case here, we have a C, we have an E flat, and we have a G. C, E flat, G. That's technically what we have right there. C, E flat, and G. See how simple this is? It's really not that too terribly difficult. It's actually kind of fun for me to do this because it's kind of like another language, and you're kind of just creating everything, all the little parts and pieces to make the grammar work. So that's minor. what are these other two types of chords up here? Well, I'll tell you what they are. They are a happier version of major, and diminished is a sadder version of minor. So, in fact, if I was to make the chord on my little piano here, if I did a C and an E and a G sharp on my piano here, C, E, and then G sharp, hear how like elated that is, or uplifting? But then let's go to the opposite and say C, E flat, and then G flat. So C, E flat, G flat. You hear how sinister that is? And as opposed to... So that sounds really happy or heavenly. And then the other way would be more sinister, or hellish, I guess, on there. So, as opposed to major and minor, which was C, E, G, major, and then C, E flat, G, as minor. So you can hear how minor and then diminished sound together. And here's that E, C major. And then if you sharpen that G, so you can hear how they both compare with each other there. Let's see, what does Susan say here? She says, exactly, another language, fun to play with, but can't speak it, fast and a song. And that's okay. I'm going to pause here for a second just to tell you a little anecdotal thing. When I was younger, my mother would always stop my speaking because I knew exactly what I wanted to say in my mind, but I couldn't convey it very well when trying to speak it to her. Those car rides were not very fun, I tell you that. She always told me to slow down and think about what I was going to say before I said it. So that's how I take language nowadays. It's very grammar oriented. I just love it. It's a lot of fun to take apart things and go at it at a slower pace just to see what is there. Okay, so let's go back to this stuff here. So we just did the major and we just did the minor. Let's go ahead and do that augmented. I kind of already gave you a little sneak peek of what it sounds like, but look at this. We have a whole step and a whole step added to another whole step and a whole step. And remember, we're not technically adding together, we are arranging them. So, let's go ahead and erase that middle portion here again. And let's do that whole step and a whole step. So C to D, D to E. Okay, so now we're in the middle again. It looks an awful lot like that major scale so far, hence the whole and the whole on both instances. But now we need to do another whole step and another whole step. So we're at the E. We need to make that whole step. So E to F was that half step. F to F sharp is another half step. So here is that so far. And let's go ahead and get rid of this because we're not going to need that yet. So we just got to that part there. That was the first whole step. Now we need the next whole step. So F sharp to G, nope. That's actually a half step. So we go to F sharp to G sharp. Look what we just did. We just created an augmented chord. And just like I showed you before, this is that heavenly sound. That's the C, E, G sharp. Right there. So we have that written out up at the top, C, E, G sharp. There's my sharp right there. Now we just have one more left because I don't want to do anything super technical right now. So let's go ahead and erase this purple line again and start at that C. This time, we have a combination of a whole half plus a whole half. So this whole half plus whole half, we'll start with that C. So the whole step from C to D, the half step from D to D sharp or E flat, we need to stay within context. So we know that's the spot there. Now we need to add another whole and a half. So from E flat to E, well, that's a half step. So E flat to F, that's that whole step. That's the first whole step. Then we have that half step. So we have this F to the F sharp. But again, we have to stay within context. So a F sharp is another name for a G flat. So a C diminished chord is C, E flat, G flat. That's how that all works, guys. Isn't that kind of amazing? Okay, so let's see what Susan says now. It is super technical, yeah. Well, the thing is, I want to do this for everybody. You know, there are going to be people that are, you know, past that. But the thing is, especially when you teach it, though, you kind of get more out of it. Especially me being in the store. I might say the same stuff over and over again for everybody, but that only strengthens my my knowledge of it, and it helps me later on when I have something else to go on. I can compare it to something else, you know. So this right here is something that I shared on my little newsletter the other day, and I figured it would be very helpful. And I know a lot of people don't like the super technical stuff, but when you are speaking another language, it is helpful to be able to read it as well. I mean, yes, an illiterate person and a literate person can still speak to each other, whether it's verbal or even physical. You know, they can still communicate with each other. But the point is, I want people to understand this, because this is kind of one of my favorite things about music, is the written aspect of it. I actually have a music wheel that I created. I have a music wheel that I created, and I've been selling it to college students as cheating tools and stuff for them. And so far, I've never had any negative, things about it. No negative comments or anything like that, because it really is a wheel to show you how to make scales even. So I could continue on tonight, and I think I will. I'm gonna go back to the other side, and we're gonna see the whole steps and the half steps for those two scales. Okay, Susan, would you say you're going slower than most, though? So, oh well, I appreciate that a lot. That's my goal. I don't want to go fast, because I also think about this stuff as I say it as well. It helps knowing there's actually logic to the notes and chords, etc. A code to figure out what others do by ear. Yes. And also, one of my ideas here, my priority, is to show people that music theory is not difficult. I didn't go to college for this stuff, and college classes, they make it so difficult for people, and it's really just a concept is all it is. In fact, you can write out music however you want to. You don't have to use the consensus standard. You don't have to use that. You can do your own thing. So anyways, and in fact, there's people out there that will do like shape notes. They'll do that, and then there's patterns in the shapes, which is cool. Let's go ahead and flip this around. go back to this portion that I was at earlier, and I want to show you those whole steps and half steps again. So, like I said, with the people that do the pattern DAD, they are technically Ionian, but all the books say Mixolydian because it was a historical accident. So I'm trying to teach the factual stuff here. It's up to the person who is listening to do their own research, because I could be saying stuff all night long and it could be it might need fact checked or whatever. But the thing is, back in the day, back in the 70s, they actually did mess up those two terms. And like I said, I didn't go to college to learn any of this stuff, but I found out on my own. You're your own best teacher, honestly. So, this right here is that 1, 5, 8 pattern. Mixolydian is technically the 1, 5, 5 pattern. 1, 5, 5. This is the one that I teach in the store because, first off, the ergonomics. That's the #1 priority on it. And Troy actually taught me this when I first started working for him about 8 years ago. So, but today we're going to work with both of them. So I just showed you earlier the whole steps and the half steps, and I created this number line down here, this alphabet line with the whole steps and the half steps. And if I apply it here, it might be a little bit easier to see. If I do C to D, well, that's a whole step. D to E, that's a whole step. E to F, that's a half step. F to G, whole step. G to A, whole step. A to B, whole step. And B to C, whole step, or half step. Okay, so you can see how this all works. And if I was to say, okay, let's make those chords that we were messing with earlier, and I said, let's do a C, E, G. Well, C, E, G. Well, we have 2 whole steps plus a half step and a whole step. That's exactly what we had on the other side. C, E, G, so whole, half whole. So let's look at this here. Here's my major, whole, half whole. That's how that works. Okay, so it works whether you have the alphabet all chromatic, and it works as if it's all diatonic, just like we have up here. Well, let's look at this one down here, okay? Mixolydian is what you would have heard in the Irish culture and Celtic culture. So that's the true open tuning. So if we do a G to an A, well, that's a whole step. An A to a B, that's a whole step. A B to a C, well, let's look down here. B to C, right here, that's that half step. C to D, whole step. D to E, whole step. E to F, half step, because right here, there's my half. F to G, whole step. Okay. Well, if we were to look at this here, we can see whole, half, whole, half, whole. That's the same so far. But look at this. This regular C major scale has a whole, half at the end. And the Mixolydian has a whole, half, whole at the end. So that there is different than that there. Isn't that kind of wild? Or I should actually cut it off here and just leave those two. So the whole half versus the half whole. That's the big difference there. Later on at some point, I'm going to kind of go over this again, but I'm going to show you all of the modes, all 7 of them. And I'm going to show you my wheel because that right there is the measurement tool for all 84 scales. But I just wanted to show you that the difference is these last two letters here, which is wild. This F and that G and that B and that C, those are, a whole step away from each other and a half step away from each other. And yes, that makes a big difference with your songs and stuff too. Because if you tried playing Mary Had a Little Lamb in Mixolydian, it's not going to sound... Well, I mean, let's do a different song where it uses all of the notes. Let's just say that you did, Oh Joe Clark in Ionian. It's not really going to work out well. I mean, or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea. Certain songs don't work well when you have them in specific scales. It's just how it is. What did Susan have to say? Okay. Susan says, I think DAA is Ionian. Well, so I'm going to teach you something, okay? Let me go ahead and get my marker out here, my eraser, and I'm going to go ahead and just explain Ionian and Mixolydian, okay? Yes, they told you that Ionian is 155. They said that. But it's a complete accident. They did not know what they were talking about back in the day. Someone said DAA tuning. If you hit a wrong note, you're still in the major scale, so it's not cringeworthy like hitting C instead of C sharp in DAD. I'm going to show you something, okay? Let me get a drink of this really quick, okay? Okay. This is one. Let me go ahead and do this. Let me make a dulcimer fretboard, okay? Because I did talk about this like 2 times ago or something like that. So if we have this here, let's see here if I got that right. So we have G. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make the fretboard. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw out the lines, okay? So here's the line, and here is a D, okay? Here's an A, and then here's an A, and then the other one I'm going to say D, A, D, okay? Can you see both of those? I think you can. It might be a little too faded, but okay. In fact, let me go ahead and change a marker here to brighten it up a little bit. In the scale of D, in the key of D, you are spelling it D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D, okay? That's how you spell a D scale, and that's D Ionian, okay? What we have here is if we go to this letter right here, that A, that's that right there. If we go to this letter, that's at D. Well, if I number these, and we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the A is the 5th note. Well, if we were to look at this here, we have actually a correct pattern where we say Ionian, then we say Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, right here, Mixolydian. Then we have Aeolian, Locrian, and then back to Ionian. That's actually the proper way to do this. And it was back in the 70s, they actually got it mixed up because they were wanting to, what they were wanting to do was make an Ionian scale match up with, or Ionian tuning match up with an Ionian scale, but they had to add that 6.5 fret to be able to make that work. Because first off, it was D, A, which is 1, 5, here, and here's that 5 on that one, here's that 1, that 5, and that 8 right there. The 8 is the octave. So that's why it's an octave of that D. So we have, this is technically Ionian, and not even technically, it's literally just is Ionian, and this one right here is Mixolydian. But the thing is, like I said, it's a historical accident. They didn't know what they were doing back in the day. Because like the mountain dulcimer world kind of took off because of these teachers, and the teachers are like, hey, this is the easiest string instrument there is, and all of a sudden you got all these little pockets of different people. That's why there's DAA players and there's DAD players. The DAD players they haven't really thought about why they are tuned in DAD. They just do it just to be nice, I guess. Let's see here. What does Susan have to say here? Oops, gotta go back and watch. Yes, I can see. Yes. Yeah. See, it's it makes sense after you kind of think about it for a little bit. Let's see here. I want to kind of get back in frame because I've been like scooting way out and stuff. I just wanted to show you all that stuff. So I was going somewhere with this, and we were going to create those whole steps and the half steps. Well, when you relate that to the mountain dulcimer fretboard, this time I'll go ahead and make the line, okay? So we'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5, and that half sign, I'll say a 6 and a plus, and then 7 right there, okay? Whether we call this if we call this a open tuning, and we say that this is a D for the open tuning, well then we have D, and then E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C sharp, and D. Well, guess what? That note was not there. They added that note later. So they could play in Ionian. Okay? Before, that wasn't even there. So in the past, they liked the Mixolydian scale, which used the 6th fret. Now, there is a lot of songs that will use that. However, church songs, they grew in popularity. Well, they had a different mode of music. They, instead of starting on the 5th note, they wanted to start on the 1st note of the scale. And when you did that, you changed the emotion of the song. So, again, if that doesn't make any sense, yeah, and you said DAD is what you started with. Sorry, I'll have to watch again. My boss called, so had to mute and pay attention to him. It's okay. I was kind of just rambling anyways. So DAD is what you started with. Yes, so DAD is Ionian. But you're going to see all of the books say Mixolydian just because it's a historical accident, and they're not going to want to change their books because it would cost them a lot of money to do that. Then I saw a video on equal and just and why some of the older instruments with number 6.5 fret don't sound well when one is added. They were made to play DAA. Yeah, exactly, because that was the original tuning. The church music, they have a thing called an accidental, and that's what actually shows up. That 6.5 fret is the accidental in most songs, which is kind of cool. So you'll see that if you study the music and you just kind of look at your sheet music. Open up a hymnal and you'll see that kind of stuff. It's kind of fascinating, really. Let's see here. What I could do is, since I think you're probably the only one who's just talking on the chat and stuff like that, what I could do is kind of whip out my little wheel, but I'm not going to like grab it out. I'll just go ahead and draw it on here so you can kind of see what's going on with the Ionian and the Mixolydian a little bit better. And if it goes over your head, it's okay. You can always talk to me, and I'll get better at explaining things too. So, again, this is only my third time doing it. So, but I do like talking about this stuff. So, like my nerves are not as bad as they were the first time around. So I'm actually a lot more confident with doing this stuff now. I think it would be a lot more fun if somebody was in here with me, though. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my wheel on here, and you're going to see the similarity of a clock, okay? So we have, and I'm going to start with C. I'm going to say, and to make things easy for myself, I like to do the white notes first, and then I'll do the black notes, okay? So here's C. We've got a D, and then an E, and then an F, and a G, and an A, and a B. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll get a different color, and I'll do my sharps and flats, sharps and flats. Skip that spot, sharps and flats. So let's do this, sharp, flat, sharp, flat, and sharp, flat. Okay. So this is a circle, and we're going to call C 12 o'clock, okay? We'll call C 12 o'clock. If I connect all of my white notes together, we are going to create that key of C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay. So C to D, E to F, F to G, G to A to B, B to C. This little symbol, that little thing there I just drew, I cut that out of a piece of paper. And then I found out if I rotate it, that pattern still stays the same, but I have 7 different scales. If I start on C, that's a type of scale. That's a mode. Or a mood. If I start on this D, that's a different mood. E's a different mood. F's a different mood. G, A, and B. What's kind of cool is when I have my wheel out, you can see it this way as well. Imagine that those letters, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, are all a part of an army. Okay? They're all a part of an army. In music, there are 7 different tribes, okay? So, each tribe will have an army, okay? C, that tribe is going to be, if I label it, I'm going to say Ionian, then Dorian, and then Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. Those are actually Greek and Turkish tribes, literally. Okay, if you look in history, you'll see that. So my analogy goes like this. These 7, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, if C is the leader, he is the leader of the Ionian tribe. And he's going to recruit these other letters. These other letters are going to be his soldiers. He's actually going to make the whole group of people happy. Okay, he is a good leader. If D decides to take over, he's going to make the tribe sad. He's going to make the army sad. And so he's going to be D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Well, what if E wants to be the leader? Well, if E's the leader, he's also going to make the group of people sad. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Well, that sounds like Middle Eastern music. Lydian, he's going to be the most happy. He's the most heavenly. If he's the leader, everybody's happy in that army. And they start off F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Mixolydian, well, he's kind of sort of happy, kind of sort of sad. He's like there in the middle. So, of course, we're going to say he's happy, even though the first chunk he is happy, the second chunk he's really not happy. But his scale goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? That really should answer your question in relation to Ionian and Mixolydian. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Just so happens to be Mixolydian. So if let's go here. Aeolian. Aeolian's a sad leader. He's going to make the group also sad. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, back to A. He's sad. Let's see here. And you should know that one because, the A scale, it's just the white notes, of course, again. But everybody knows C major and A minor. And then B is Locrian. Locrian is the most sinister. So nobody in that group of 7 people likes him. He's making everything sinister. So B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B makes everything sound really cringy. But can you see what I'm kind of getting at here? Here's the Mixolydian. There's my G on there. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th letter. That is why I'm playing in the Mixolydian, and you started off playing in the Ionian, because you needed that 6.5 fret, and that gave you an extra note. Instead of saying G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you wanted G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp G. And so that's the big difference there. It's okay. All these different companies that have those books out, I'm sure that they know their mistake, but they're also wanting to make money, and they don't care if it's a historical accident or not, which is sad. By the way, I wrote my own book, and it's getting printed, and it'll be in my store in the middle of February at some point. And I actually do clarify all that for you. And I label Mixolydian as the proper Mixolydian 155, and the Ionian is the proper Ionian 158. Let's see here. Did I have another little thing that I was going to speak on? I don't even know how much time's passed. Oh, it's almost been an hour. How cool is that? Let's see here. So the sad ones are minor scales. Yes, the sad ones are the minor scales. And I'm going to bring my wheel up to this screen here, because of course this doesn't move. I would have to keep on erasing things. I just have it on my front desk right here. Okay, so here's my wheel that I created, and I made this thing about 10, 11, 12 years ago, something like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this word Ionian on the D. Okay, let's see here. Because you're needing the reference of the key of D for the mountain dulcimer. So let's see here. I'm going to get the Ionian D. So here's my D. And if you look at this, you can see D is up at the top, right? Here, let me get this centered and then move my fingers down. Okay, so D is up here. And you can see I have the stuff pointing at the individual letters. D, and then we have E, and then F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. That's what you want, is that scale, because you have to have that 6.5 fret. But look at this. I'm going to go ahead and do that same D, but I'm going to say Mixolydian. Okay, so now we have D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, here, C, D. So that's the difference between Mixolydian and Ionian. And then again, I'll go ahead and do my little analogy with the, yeah, there's a new book, yay! I'll do my analogy with my wheel now, okay? So all 7 of these words are all different tribes. Again, they are Greek and Turkish tribes. And again, my analogy is that these 7 different positions, yeah, I know it's the wheel is very helpful, and I'm so interested in why nobody ever come up with this thing in the past. They were all focused on the circle of fifths, whereas this gives you 84 scales. This is superior to that circle of fifths, in my opinion. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue this. We have 7 different tribes. And I'm going to put this on the C. I'm going to put the word Ionian on the C. So let's see here. Here it is. And here's my C. So this is what I was describing earlier. So we had Ionian was happy, and he started this. So C, he's going to be the happy leader. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Dorian, there's that D. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So D was sad. Phrygian will be sad. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Lydian is happy. We have F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Mixolydian is the mix between happy and sad. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Aeolian is sad. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Locrian is the most sinister. And so that one's B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. But what happens when I get a new leader with 7 different other tribe members? Let's go ahead and do, let's do this, C sharp. Ooh, okay. So now we have C sharp. We have different members of the army, but the same tribes. Ionian is still going to be happy. Locrian is still going to be sinister. Mixolydian is still going to be half and half. Yeah, so Susan, if you ever wanted to call me up and ask me more about this wheel or anything like that, I'd be glad to share it with you. But literally, it's not that complicated at all. Once you have it in a physical format, it just makes more sense to create your scales and create everything, and to comprehend what's actually going on. And I'll tell you something really kind of funny. When the college students come in here, they're all about this. They're like, we need this for our class. Of course, I have to explain it to them first. But yes, they use them as cheating tools. I also had another guy who bought one from me. He moved back into California, or he was on vacation, so he went back to California. And then a year later, he comes back, and of course, I can still recognize faces. I don't know a lot of people's names very well, but I recognize this man's face, and he went to the wheel, and of course, automatically, I remembered him. And I asked him, you need to get another wheel? Are you going to be teaching people stuff? He says, oh no. My wheel burned up in my house fire, and I needed to get a new wheel to continue my music theory, escapade. So I thought that was pretty cool too. But yes, this wheel, I'm going to have to say that I'm attributing it to a dream that I had in the past. And with this dream, I was taking it to a college here in the area. It's called C of O. It's College of the Ozarks. And to this day, I still haven't taken it to them. But in my dream, I had this wheel. And like 2 days later, I sat down at the table, started drawing stuff up, and then I recollected that from my memory and started drawing it up. It's pretty fascinating, really. Hey, Susan, what'd you say next? So you said, so a dulcimer without the 6.5 fret is set for any Mixolydian scale. Yes, ma'am. That is absolutely true. And one with a 6.5 fret is set for any Ionian scale. Yes, ma'am. That is absolutely true. Just tune the strings to make a different key in that mode. All right. I can play Mixolydian scale, okay, and I can play the Ionian scale. Now, because we have both the 6.5 and the 6 fret on there, so you can actually play both songs on the same fretboard. Now, what happens though is your drones in the background. You can tell if your song is in Ionian or Mixolydian very, very easily if you listen to the sounds. What I always tell people is this: 1-5-5 and 1-5-8. So if you're in the key of F and you wanted to do the Mixolydian F, that's 1-5-5, so F, C, C. If you're wanting to do the Ionian, well, that's F, and then you have the C, hold on, yeah, F, C, F. That would be your Ionian. I had to picture that in my head for some reason. If you are wanting to do, let's see here, an E, like we do in the shop, we say E, B, B. Well, that is your mixolydian because that's the fifth note the B is. Well, then if you do E, B, E, so elephant, boy, elephant, well, you just did E, Ionian is what you just did there. So I'm going to develop a capo, but you can experiment with this yourself, actually, without having to chord anything. Okay, if you have a little dowel rod and you stick it underneath your strings in various places with the frets, where the frets are, you're going to create different modes. So, you know how like the your tuning, the 158 tuning, has that capo that goes all the way across the fretboard. Well, you just took away notes from the melody string. So, of course, that's not really convenient if you needed to get the notes below that melody string. The drones are the only thing that need to be covered. And I'll have to go through that on another video. I'll share that information with you. I kind of hinted towards it a little bit. Like I think it was a video ago that I did that. But what I'll do is I'll think about this week doing another video based on those modes, and I'll put the little dowel rod under the two strings and show you the different modes that way. So really you don't need the capo to go all the way across the fretboard. It only needs to cover the first two strings, the D and the A string, not the D, the A, and the D, or the D, the A, and the other A. Hey, Susan, what'd you say next? Yes, thank you. I have to write it out to know the fifth note. Yeah, and that's my whole point. I want people to be able to write the stuff out, and don't take my word for it. Just you can take snapshots of my whiteboard and stuff like that too, or of course, I'm still going to be doing my little newsletters, and I like to be creative with those too. I might have the same stuff written out. Like I might recycle my information or something like that. But the thing is, the point has to be across. Okay, then it says, but the frets are whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half if there is not 6.5 fret. No, that's incorrect. Ionian scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and you need that 6.5 fret to do that. Did I have that on this side here? I'll just erase this here, and then I'll explain that one more time for you, okay? All right, let's go ahead and do that here. Okay, so you had said if you have the 6.5 fret, then you thought that was not whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And then I said it's actually opposite. So let me show you what I have up here on the board. Okay, so let's just say it was that D, okay? D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C sharp, and D, okay? So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, hold on. That's a 0. My bad. Okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6.5. Half is a plus sign. I'll just do that. 6 and a plus sign, and then 7. Okay. So, if we do whole, whole, half, whole, 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 nope, not right there, right? The whole step is right there, half. So, we have whole, whole, half, whole, whole, and then we have whole and half, because B to C sharp, that is your whole step right there. So that is the Ionian scale. You need that 6.5 fret. The Mixolydian scale does not need that 6.5 fret, because their pattern was whole, whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole. So right here they have the H instead, and then they have the W. So that's the difference there, is whether it's a WH or an HW. I know it's kind of funny how that is, but let's see here. Oh, you're very welcome. Absolutely. Yeah, you learn new things every day. It's kind of neat. Like, that's why I like doing this, because, you know, again, it challenges me to reinforce what I already know. And you know, what's kind of funny is I'm having to think of different videos, right? But all of this stuff to me is redundant or mundane, because I already know it. So it's like I'm taking advantage of it, right? So what I think is mundane might not be mundane to you. It's very important for you to learn this information. And that's why I'm here, to help you out with it. Hey, Susan, what do you think about, go ahead and calling it a night? I've got some, what is it? I have a chicken fried steak waiting for me at the house. I've got to go ahead and get me some food tonight. I think it's a good idea. I don't know about you. But anyways, if you guys have any questions regarding the mountain dulcimer, or even music theory in general, again, I don't want to make things go over your head. And if you don't like my whiteboard stuff, and you'd rather me do stuff like editing on the computer, I don't have time for that. If we had another pandemic, sure. I'd have plenty of time for that. But I think it's very nice to have this whiteboard here, just to convey just different things. And then also I have my little piano down below here. And got my dulcimers on the wall. Speaking of the mountain dulcimers, let's see here. Great job, Matthew. Thank you. I really appreciate you, AH. You know how hard this really is, because you're looking at a screen the whole time. Anyways, what I was going to share with you is I have mountain dulcimers on the wall, and you can see that I have a mixture of them. I actually carry 3 different brands right now. I have Cedar Creek dulcimers. I have TK O'Brien. He's out of North Carolina. He actually used to have our dulcimers sold, but Chaz and Mark kind of changed them up a little bit for him to distinguish whose is whose. And then after the pandemic, he started his own line. And then I also have Rusbeck. So Rusbeck is really not a terrible dulcimer, guys. It's only terrible if you buy it off of Amazon, because they do not set that stuff up. It's naturally going to have a much more nasally sound, because it's much more traditional of a sound. But I do fix that stuff up too. Let's see here. Hey, someone joined us. Yes, chicken fried steak sounds good. It's delicious. um, let's see here. What else do I want to talk about? I'm going to reiterate this again. I have a book that I also have on my website. In fact, I'm going to show you where to go on my website because I already put this up there too. So let's see that. So here's my website. And if I minimize this, I can actually move stuff around. If you go to My Creations here, I also make products. And so I have this book called The Hillbilly Guide to the Mountain Dulcimer. It's being printed right now, and I will get it at the the middle of February, so coming up. This book here, How to Play Everything. Well, this book is really cool. This is by John Corbin. He used to work with us here in town. He also works at the Butterfly Palace. And he's a fantastic hammer dulcimer player. But in this book, there are tons of pages. Do I have it written down in here? 82 pages worth of great information. Here's my mode wheel that I was mentioning. I also have my chord cards down there. And then for the biblical people, I also have a book that I put out that's got 100 and a lot of pages on there. So pretty cool. Again, if you guys forget about how to get to my YouTube page, I have 2 buttons on here. There's Needful Strings YouTube, and there's also Cedar Creek YouTube. Troy is still putting videos out. So watch his content too. I know he would really appreciate that. And he's enjoying his retirement, guys. He really is. Let me go ahead and get back to the page that has me on it again. Okay. So here I am again, guys. Let's see here. I thank you. I really appreciate you telling me that I earned my steak. Let's see here. The setup is golden and makes all the difference. And you make it look easy. I'm trying to get on you guys' level so it will be easy. I don't want somebody to leave the chat or walk out the door of the store and be confused. I always tell people, if you have questions and you walk out the door or you leave the chat, you can always get a hold of me. In fact, my phone number is 417-334-1395. And and then also on my website, there was a little chat window that popped up. If you have questions, you can type on that, and it goes straight to my email as well. The setup is golden, makes all the difference. I really, setting up those the ruse specs. I think that's what you were actually referring to. And yes, you can go ahead and pre-order it. Well, yeah, because I'm going to have it at the same price. It's that little book that I made on my website right now is like $9.99. Oh, hey, Mona. How about that? I did not realize that was you. Yes, the wheel is very, very important. And in fact, guys, I claim, and I don't know how true this is, but Troy, my former boss, he hired me like 8 years ago, and that's what brought me to the store, was that wheel. I wanted to sell it in his store, but he needed somebody to sell it because I had it on consignment and nobody knew what it was. So Mona, if you ever have questions about that wheel, I can always answer that stuff because, you know, it's important. It's a very important tool. I was telling Susan, it's just like a ruler. Okay, we need a ruler to measure length, just like we need a clock to measure time. Well, we need this device to measure musical scales. Guys, I think I do deserve this chicken fried steak. I'm going to go ahead and get off. I just wanted to share with you all the rest of that information. And again, I will reiterate all of this stuff every single time I am on the computer, whether it's in a regular video, like you've guys probably seen me put the website and the phone number on my videos every single time. It's because I'm giving you that door to walk through. So, guys, any famous last words or anything? And to be honest, guys, I'm feeling so much more confident talking with you now than I was 2 or 3 weeks ago. This is going to get better for me, I feel. And I promise it's not going to be like all over the place. I don't think I really was all over the place today, but I think I need to work on writing all this stuff. All right. You take care. Have a blessed one, all right? You guys have a good night. Let's see here. How do I get off again? All right. So I'm going to hit stop streaming. Take care, guys. Have a blessed one.